Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the North Shore 9 podcast presented by FanDuel. This is Bucco Brew, powered by Fer Coffee Tea. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Jim Rosati. Jim, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Good morning. How about that Steelers game last night, DiNardo?
Honestly, again, this is coming from someone who's, semi-neutral. I, of course, root for them, but I'm not a Steelers fan, quote unquote. What a game. What a hell of a game. And the fact that they ended up winning that.
That was fun to watch.
That was the best, worst game I think I've watched in a long, long time.
Yeah, no, it was a great football game. It was very entertaining. So, I'm here in my hotel room, and that kept me entertained for the evening, which was all you got to ask for, right?
Yeah, it sure did. Well, and a win. I mean, again, if you're a Steelers fan and a win, that's what you really have to ask for.
Entertaining.
They did that part too.
Yeah.
How do you?
I'm very happy.
Although, how do you miss that extra point?
Crazy.
Wow.
No, I'm excited. I'm in town, and my boss, who we're all getting together today. He's a huge Ravens fan, so I'm gonna be able to have some fun with him this week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Yeah. So congratulations, Steelers fans. Congratulations for the city of Pittsburgh for the first Pittsburgh playoff team in 2026. The first of many.
Yeah.
People are saying.
People are saying that.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's saying that. You may have been the first person to say that.
Well, hey, there you go. Then I get first to claim it.
I think Pens are clinging on to that last wild card spot as of right now.
There you go. Too. There you go. And we all know it's the winner of Ben. So there's at least 3. Right.
There we go.
Right.
There we go.
We'll see. But yes, let's of course tell you about today's sponsor with the Fer Coffee and Tea. The Fer is a family and employee-owned and operated business. They believe that coffee and tea are one of life's simplest and most accessible pleasures, and when enjoyed thoughtfully, can open your eyes to the here and now. They have 5 locations across the city of Pittsburgh, including their flagship in the heart of Pittsburgh's historic Strip District. Don't forget to stop by the Fer's new location downtown on Penn Avenue, right across from the Benedum. Grab a cup and fuel up on your walk to PNC Park. Mobile ordering is available. Check out their Instagram for more details. And of course, that is defer.coffee. And Jim, as we all know, tell everybody where they can save themselves 30%.
Yeah, defer.coffee. Go to that website, load up your cart, whatever you want. And use promo code NS930. That's NS930. And you'll get 30% off your first order.
There you go. Good stuff.
It's 6 a.m. here, so I'm drinking an energy drink. The coffee shop down the lobby's not open, so
yeah,
it's got the energy drink this morning.
I get it, but anywho, yeah. So actually, a lot of news happening, Pirates adjacent for nothing happening. Pirates, relatively speaking. I know they're in on Kazuma Okamoto. There was a lot of smoke. Could he be a Pittsburgh Pirate? A lot of ties linking him. But, as Alex Stump poo-pooed on it, it's probably not going to happen. And I think a lot of us thought it's an outside shot. I mean, there's a lot of, honestly, outside factors to come in play that are going against Pittsburgh. I mean, geography, like the West Coast, right? A winning team. I know that's kind of self-inflicted, right? But there's a lot of things going against Pittsburgh, even if they had a competitive offer, per se. And it turns out on Saturday, just within that 24-hour window, he does end up signing. He goes to the Toronto Blue Jays, a team that was linked, but not a whole lot of smoke, right? Not a whole lot of connections directly tied there. 4 years, $60 million. Jim, I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. It's a bummer, right? He seemed like a really good fit. Certainly someone within the Pirates price range, like you mentioned, 4 years, $60 million. means he's getting $15 million a year. So, you know, it's definitely on the higher end of what you would expect a Pirates free agent signing to be or to look like if they're quote unquote, you know, going all in this offseason and that they have sufficient resources to go out there and make the playoffs. Like, this is somebody who, yeah, plugging in that right. We've talked about how they need a right-handed bat now. The lineup's gotten a little left-handed heavy. So yeah, it was it was definitely something that made a lot of sense. Ethan asks if there was really a lot of smoke around the Pirates. It basically all seemed manufactured by fans. I'll say this, like, there was definitely a lot of fan manufactured smoke. But like, the Pirates certainly were in on Kazuma Okamoto. They were one of the teams involved in this process. I'm not aware of what their offer looked like. I'm not aware of if it was exactly the same or higher or lower. I have no idea. What I do know is that the Pirates were in on them. Like, they were one of the few interested teams here that kind of made it to the end of this. I'll also add this. No one I talked to, whether they were inside the organization or close to the organization, not a single person I spoke to seemed to have much confidence that this was going to happen.
Right.
Everyone kind of knew that this was going to be an uphill battle for the Pirates. That's where I was a little confused with all the manufactured stuff by the fans. Is like, I haven't heard anything here where the Pirates are a favorite to land Kazuma Okamoto, or that they were expecting this to happen by any means. So this isn't surprising. It's not surprising that he went to Toronto. It's a big city. It's an international city. It's one of those deals where, like, this move makes a lot of sense for Kazuma Okamoto. It makes a lot of sense for the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, you know, they have a good team already. They're just adding more and more depth to that team now, which is something that they made it to the World Series last year. They were like, we just need to get a little bit better, and they seem to be trying to get a little bit better. This is maybe like a backup plan if they don't get Bo Bichette, is kind of what it sounds like. They're still certainly in on Bichette too, but yeah, it's a bummer. So yeah, now you gotta figure out where to go from here.
Yeah, I agree. Now, obviously, I want to kind of go back to the fan thing. They're fans, and this is an opportunity for fans to get excited for once. So, like, more power to them. You know, I'm sure, like, you saw San Diego Padres fan base kind of doing the same thing. You saw Angels fan base kind of doing the same thing. But like, what I want to say is, it seemed as if like the three big players all along was always the Angels, Padres, and Pirates. But you tend to think, you know, the Padres always, like, they didn't truly have the playtime. Right. It was one thing going against them. Like, if you come here, you're probably not like the everyday player, especially at third base. I mean, there's Manny Machado there. So, like, where do you specifically line up? You know, where is your spot, you know, your role on this team? So they had that going against them. And it seemed like as it progressed, the Angels, I felt like they were the front runner, more or less. And it seemed like they were pulling back. You know, like, we're not really all that interested. You know, we're discussing about an Arenado trade made with the Cardinals. So it's like, are they really wanting Okamoto? And if it's not, and it's not maybe the Padres, well, then, like, just fortunate enough, it could be the Pirates. Like, why not Pittsburgh? So, like, I get that sentiment for, you know, fans and such. So yeah, there was a lot of hype, but again, like, I do think, like you mentioned, like, the Pirates were certainly in on him, but it does take two to tango. Is he in on the Pirates? Is that the premier destination? And, you know, when it's maybe not the Padres, when it ends up maybe not being the Angels, that's why I brought up on the point, you know, is Toronto this sleeper? And because it makes a lot of sense for him. Is Toronto a team that wants to be a play, you know, for him? And it obviously turned out they did, especially with that offer. Excuse me, with that offer, 4 years, 60 million. I mean, that's competitive. That's an offer also saying we want you. But on the same side, yes, I mean, all the stars align. You know, like that's a reason why Toronto was actually a real play for Ohtani. I mean, that was legit. I mean, obviously they ain't the Dodgers, and, you know, you give a guy basically $1 billion. Well, all right, I'll go here. But he has a whole country on his side. Like he has two really. I mean, he has Japan on his side. Now he comes to Toronto, the only team in Canada. That's as far as marketing goes, that's not just a city. I mean, that's a whole country on your side. Like that's what's marketable and appealing as far as Toronto and the Blue Jays go. So like you have that. There's a very, very vast Asian, culture there, and like it's all this stuff going to his sides. Like, yes, this makes a whole lot of sense. Like, how much money can I make outside of that contract for being here? So, and like, yes, I think obviously a big part, like you mentioned, they're in Game 7. Like, that was one of the most epic World Series we've seen in some time. Also, you're going to that team. Like, are they in Okamoto away? I mean, they've made some really good additions this year. Are they one piece? Are they me away from maybe being the winner next year? Let's find out. So I definitely see all the reasons why he would want to go there. Makes perfect sense. And again, that's what's going against Pittsburgh. They could have, again, like you mentioned too, like I'm not saying the same thing here. I'm not saying that they've offered the same amount. So like they could have, though. Pirates could have offered 4 for 60. They could have offered 4 for 65. I probably have more earning potential in Toronto than I do in Pittsburgh at 4 for 65. Plus I'm going to Toronto, not Pittsburgh. So, like you said, there's a lot of outside factors. I understand it. I get it. I'm not trying to make an excuse, but I absolutely get it. I would want to be in Toronto over Pittsburgh in that situation. But the reality is, Pittsburgh missed out. This was a huge opportunity for them. This was a guy, if they brought in, as we mentioned, okay, I'm talking maybe playoff contention here for sure. They missed out on that. They can't just allow an excuse to take over and say, hey, guys, well, we tried. There were all these outside factors which do make sense, and we lost out on him. Gee golly whiz, it's okay. Like, they have to pivot now. I mean, you can't just give up. You have to pivot. And the thing that this, tells me, it's like the Schwarber stuff. If they were truly serious about Schwarber, I mean, that's $30 million. Payroll better be something, competitive in that sense. And they go out there and they trade for Lau. They get Mangum. They signed Ryan O'Hearn for a 2-year deal. Okay, maybe they are kind of serious. Well, if they were truly serious on Okamoto, he's going to cost you $15 to $20 million. So you better have those funds to pony up for your pivot. And that's all I'm saying to this. Like, so they missed out on Okamoto, and sure, there are some valid excuses, but you can't just live on the excuse. You need to pivot and perform. Who is next?
Yeah, no, you're right. Like they have to. They can't just stop here. They can't just say, "Oh, that was our target. We missed out. Here's our team. Here's our 2026 squad." And I mean, a couple of factors go into this. Like you've probably you have drastically raised the floor of this team with the additions of Lau, Mangum, and O'Hearn. So like you've made this team has gotten better, right? But this was a
Correct.
72 win team last year. Like they need to get quite a bit better in order to get to where you want to be. The goal next year, someone asked, is what's the goal? Is it to finish 500 and then hope that Connor Griffin can power them to in 2027? Like no, the goal is to make the playoffs in 2026. That was clearly stated at the beginning of the offseason by the team president. And they told us that they had all of the resources that were sufficient in order to accomplish that goal. Well, right now,
Full stop, period.
Yep. Right now, they've certainly made some really good steps to accomplishing that goal. Like I want to be clear with that. Like so far, I'm really happy with the additions that they've made. But it's still not enough. Like they got to do more. Because right now, like it's a pretty solid team on like a surface level, but like you're gonna need to get some depth in there. Like if you look at roster resource on Fangraphs, I don't know, your bench is Nick York, Jack Sawinski, and Joe Stinson Garcia. It's not great. Like you want to try to get some more people onto this team so that you can add some depth, because guess what? At some point, you're going to have to call up an outfielder. At some point, you're going to have to call up an infielder. You're probably going to have to call up 2, maybe even 3 throughout the year. Right now, if you needed an outfielder, you're calling up Billy Cook. Right? Like that's who you're calling up. And this team just isn't, it doesn't have the depth that it needs to have right now. So you've got to continue to work with that. And the only way to really do that is to continue to add major league talent so that you can bump some guys off the roster as a AAA or bump some guys from the starting lineup down to the bench. Like right now, this team isn't quite there. If you squint hard enough and everything goes right, like this is probably a playoff team, right? Like if O'Neal Cruz takes a step forward, if Brian Reynolds takes a step forward, if no one gets injured in the pitching staff, if all those things happen, I could see this team making the playoffs. But like you need some contingency plans here. You need to add to this team. You traded away 2 starting pitchers to get to where you are right now, one of which has 6 years of control. Like you traded a pretty decent major league starter with 6 years of control to get to where you are right now. You can't stop, because if you stop, then what the hell did you do that for?
Right. I want to hammer that point.
Yeah, like you've got to make the playoffs this year, because you only have Brandon Lau 1 year. Like next year he's gone. He's not coming back. Like you're probably not re-signing Brandon Lau. So like you've got to do it this year. Otherwise, why did you trade Mike Burrows? So to your original point, like, yeah, you can't stop. You've got to pivot now. There is one crown jewel still out there in terms of third baseman free agents. There's maybe some trade options available out there. But yeah, they can't stop. They got to keep going.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, I want to hammer that because you're absolutely correct. I mean, I'll go back to like what I said, I think last week. What they've done so far this offseason puts them in a situation where not everything needs to go right. That was like last year. Like last year, everything needed them to go right for them to be a playoff team. And I think this year, at least most things have to go right. So that eases some of the pressure, right? Like we said, you can certainly see this team being a playoff team this year, right? It's not outside the realm of possibility. Like this team can be. It's just right now they're in a situation where they can be. They're on the outside looking in, where it's not like, okay, I'm confident that this team will be a playoff team. And that's why, adding like an Okamoto, adding like a Suarez, we'll talk about, adding somebody else can get this team there. Where it's like, okay, I'm confident that this team will be a playoff team. And that's what we're coming down to. Like, if you're not there, then trading Michael Burrows, and I know you got Mangum and Montgomery. They have years of control. They're talented players as well in their own right. They're not Brandon Lau. They're not the headline of that trade. They're not the reason that you trade Mike Burrows. That's, like you said, 6 years of control. If you're doing that just to hang around for 2026, that's bad asset management. That's very, very poorly managed. That's going back to like the whole, like, why keep and extend Brian Reynolds and not trade him if you're just going to kick this can down the road till he's outside of his prime when you're ready to contend. That same correlation here. That's just bad management. You're trading a guy with tons of service time for basically a guy for 1 year to not really do anything for that year. So that's why it is important to keep going. Yes, they deserve credit for doing what they've done so far. They've done a good job so far in addressing their needs, but the job's not finished. And that does need to be clear. The job's not finished. You need to keep going. You need to keep adding. Third base is certainly a big hole. I guess the issue with third base is your options are becoming much more limited now. There's red flags against a Eugenio Suarez. He is 34 years old. He didn't perform that well in Seattle after the trade when he went there. Is he really worth the money, especially for the Pirates taking on that risk? I think he certainly makes his team better. Absolutely. Like, even if he underperforms, if he hits half the home runs he hit last year, he leads the Pirates, like easily. If he underperforms, he still makes this team better. But they have to add somebody, and again, that's what we'll talk. So Suarez, like Mackey reported yesterday, the Pirates apparently have, still be in communication with him. He does say, if they haven't already, they are pivoting. It is going to Suarez, but as I can understand, he's not all that confident that they'll end up with the winning bid to land him. Thoughts?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. And And I'm also not very confident the Pirates are going to land a Eugenio Suarez. I don't think it's going to happen. But he's the guy that you got to, like, if you can get him to cap off this offseason, and we went out there and you plugged in Brandon Lau, Ryan O'Hearn, and Eugenio Suarez into this lineup, then, like, you know what? Ben, Bob, can thank you. Thank you for going out and doing this. Because in order to do that, payroll's going to have to get bumped up. Payroll's going to have to get to what we've been like just begging to get it to this whole time. It's going to have to get into that 115 to 120 range in order to make that kind of thing happen. Suarez's deal is probably going to be around 20 million a year. They're sitting right around 92, 93 right now. And they still got to probably add another pitcher, maybe another bench bat, maybe another reliever. So, like, if you're getting someone like Suarez, or if you were even going to get someone like Okamoto, like, payroll was going to have to get up into the 110 to 120 range. But guess what? Like, it has to. It has to. Like, you can't. Again, I just reiterate, going back to what you said in the beginning of the offseason, not you, Donardo, but like what Travis Williams said in the beginning of the offseason. He said, period, full stop, period, however, whatever he said. He said that the resources were sufficient in order to make the playoffs. And that was what they were going to do. Mm-hmm. Well, show us. Show us then that the resources are sufficient. Because in order to make the playoffs, we need to add another $20 to $25 million in payroll. They got the next year's payroll needs to be the highest it's ever been in Pittsburgh Pirates history.
Which really, they're like $8 million away from that. So
yeah,
it's not like
they're
something
very
that's
close.
Crazy.
They're very close to that. But you've got Connor Griffin knocking on the door. You've got the best pitcher in baseball. He's the best pitcher in baseball is making league minimum right now. Like, it's the last year that he's making league minimum, by the way. So it's like, this is your chance to go all in. This is your best chance, because after this year, Paul Skeens is going to be in first year of arbitration, and he's not going to cost you $800,000, right? He's going to cost you multiple millions of dollars. He's going to break whatever the ARB1 record is for pitchers.
All the records.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, like, all of a sudden, this tremendous asset that you have for basically nothing is going to start costing you money, which means you got to take resources away from other places. The time to do something is right now. And you've got to make another big splash. You've got to do something to really add to this team. And guess what? If you need to move pieces around later on, you can do that. Like, signing Eugenio Suarez to a 2 to 3 year deal doesn't mean you necessarily have to keep Eugenio Suarez for 2 to 3 years. You can always trade bad contracts. You see it all the time. You can always dump people if you need to. So it's like, but for 2027, you have to do something to drastically improve this team. They've done a good job so far. They got to keep going. They have to add another big bat. And, like, people are in the comments talking about Bregman. I don't see that happening. The suitors for Bregman are huge. No matter what you offer Bregman, someone's going to come in and offer a larger deal. Like, he
will certainly have.
He's very good. Like, Bregman is going to have it's going to be a monster deal. Now, I'd love Bregman, but I've moved on. That's not going to be happening. So, like, you look at Suarez, and yeah, there are red flags. He's a little bit older. His defense isn't great. He strikes out a lot. But you know what? The dude hit 49 homers last year. 49 homers. Pirates haven't had a 49 home run hitter since ever.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened?
They lost Kiner. What in Joey Bats, but
right? Kiner did it. Stargell hit 48 one year, right? But Kiner was the last Pirate to do that. And God, you got to do it. You got to do it. And even if he takes a step back, let's say he takes a huge step back, he's still probably hitting 25 homers, which is
Right.
a lot more than what you got out of the third base position last year. And even a regressed Eugenio Suarez is a big addition to this team.
That's what I want to highlight. Like, I know there's certainly red flags and people are, oh, he's old, stay away from him. And I get that. And I guess the way I look at it is, what options, do you have? You have to get better. And right, like, even if you are correct, I mean, first off, you are correct. There are red flags. Like, all the concerns are valid. If they come to fruition in a major way, it's still a large upgrade. This is a team that can even afford to take that and still improve. I guess it sucks because the money part, like, maybe he wasn't worth the 20 million or whatever it's going to take to get him, which I want to come to as well, soon. Do you maybe think his market isn't as robust as it seemed this year? I think there's part of that too. Like, this could be maybe a buyer's market for Suarez this year, to some level, but he might not be worth, air quotes, what you're paying him in that sense. But if he takes his team to the playoffs, if he helps get them there, it was worth it. Like, I would rather have a regressed Suarez than no Suarez. Like, that's what it comes down to. It's like, for me, I do believe, and trust me, you've heard me last year, I do believe in Jared Triolo to some extent. Like my thing was, I'm pumping up Jared Triolo because if Connor Griffin, realistically thinking, last year doesn't make opening day roster, like, I'm perfectly fine having Jared Triolo be the opening day shortstop and being the everyday shortstop until Connor Griffin arrives, and then you're back to super utility role. The way it looks right now is there's a real chance Connor Griffin could be the opening day shortstop, but it also looks like there's a real chance that Triolo could be the everyday third baseman. And I don't necessarily think that's terrible. That's not like doomer mentality. Like, okay, this team's going to be a 70-win team again this year. They're toast. He can play a little bit. He has value defense. It's Cabrian Hayes light. It's different where his value comes in, right? But I think he can give you 1 to 2 WAR next year. I think that can absolutely happen. It's going to come differently, but it could happen per se. But he's best suited as that super utility because also, like you said, Jim, what's that bench look like right now? If Jared Triolo is your third baseman, then, like, you're giving a lot of reps to, like, Nick York, maybe. I don't know. Like, I'd rather that to be like Jared Triolo and then Suarez there at third base, right? So again, like, if Suarez doesn't perform to the level he did last year, the level you're expecting him, he still helps his team in a major way. And again, that's why I would much rather have a declining Suarez on this team right now than no Suarez.
Yeah, I think we've said our piece on Suarez. I would love for the Pirates to go out and get him. I think this is a guy that you open up the wallet for. Like, if you're Bob Nutting and you've made the promises to your baseball operations department that they're going to have the sufficient resources to go out there and build a winning team, then you need to be able to go out there and outbid everybody else for Eugenio Suarez.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think that's going to happen? I do not. There's been no indication that has been shown to me that this seems really operating all that different from a money standpoint, right? Like, what they've done so far this offseason is they've essentially just added the money that was removed from last year's payroll. Their payroll is essentially sitting around the exact same as last year. So, as of right now, the Pirates haven't shown that they are adding significant dollars to this payroll. Now, I think they are going to add more. I think they are going to add 1 or 2 more position players. I think they're going to add 1 or 2 more pitchers, maybe a starter, maybe a reliever. So, like, I think there are still additions out there to be made. I think what's going to happen is this team's just going to sign 3 to 4 more mediocre players and call it a day. And don't get me wrong, mediocre's probably an upgrade over some of their current options. I think that's the route they're going to go. But, like, I'm not going to be super thrilled with that. It's still going to be more than I expected this offseason, and it's still going to make this team a little bit better. like I said, I feel like that's the way they're going to go. I don't think they're going to land Suarez. If they land a free agent, it's probably going to be Yohan Moncada, something like that, who comes with even more flaws. Or they're going to trade somebody for, they're going to trade for a mediocre player. That's the route I see them going. It's just adding someone with that much power potential to your lineup. And it's not even power potential, it's power. Like, let's be real. Eugenio Suarez, the potential power isn't there. It is real power. He will hit you 25 plus homers, even if he regresses terribly. Like, that's going to happen.
Right.
So you just got to figure out a way to make it happen. If the money's not there, go and get a loan, Bob. Go out there and borrow some money, right? Someday you or your daughter is going to sell this team and they're going to make billions of dollars, right? So you know what? Take out a loan for $40 million, Bob. Just do it.
What's 40 million when you're going to have $2+ billion? Right. But again, like that's the part that we, talk maybe more myself, but regardless, like that's investing in your ball club. That's, like I understand Suarez makes you uncomfortable as far as a payroll standpoint. Like now I'm starting to get uncomfortable. Let me phrase this correctly, because I want to give you a little bit pushback on what you said about their spending. I know that like so far right now they are at what they spent last year. They're at the 93 million mark, right? That's why we talked about too. Like when people are talking about, the Pirates are going to spend money this year, like, well, they have to. They virtually have to spend $30+ million just to get to where they were. So like in that sense, yes, but are they actually going to spend money 100 million plus, going in that range? And all reports indicate like they were in on Okamoto. And again, if they were, I mean, their payroll was going to be at 110-ish, regard like around that mark. If that they truly were, they were going to be at that mark. And that's why I give a little bit of pushback. Like there's at least a little bit of smoke that they're going to add to payroll. That they're not out operating in the same fundamental way the Pirates have operated all the time. It's a little bit different. Now, they haven't proven it yet. They are at the 93 million mark. You want to prove it, go ahead and do it, right? But their intent does seem to be different this offseason. I will give them that. So, with that said, if Suarez makes you a little bit uncomfortable, you might need to get uncomfortable because, again, think about the investment part. What does Suarez bring in? Like Suarez, now you're getting maybe 120 million mark, 115, right? Not the 110, 115. You're going to 115, maybe 120 in that sense. But how hyped do you think this fan base gets if they bring in a Suarez after what they've done? The tickets, I mean, I'm sure. I maybe talk a little bit. I don't know, right? Can't factually speak this, but I'm sure there's some hype coming right now to what they've done. There is some hype, a positive message being sent to the fans, something they haven't seen in a long time. Our tickets being bought more right now because of what happened. If you added a Suarez, does that really capture this? Do you start really getting a push like, okay, this team is for real? Do you make that investment back? That's what we're talking about when you talk about invest into the team. You might not have the funds because of last year, right? Payroll is down. Like you might have to invest a little bit, but by doing so, you can recoup money. You can earn money back. How much money do you make by being a good team opposed to a bad team? And like, does Suarez do that for you? So like in my sense, you have to think about that. You have to. Again, like this team can't just be a team that hangs around. This team has to be a team that goes to the playoffs. And if you bring in a Suarez, that changes this can be a playoff team to this should be a playoff team. And you saw the hype in 2023. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, 2023 and 2024, really, to some level. Like when they had those runs, I mean, Pittsburgh baseball was the talk of MLB for some time. You saw the fans supporting this team until, the other shoe fell and this team showed who they really are. This team would be good for a whole year with Paul Skeens, with Connor Griffin up. Come on. Like marketing, come on. You had a guy now who can hit 50 home runs. You can market that. Doesn't have to just be Andrew McCutchen's back.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. If you sign Suarez, that's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. Be your biggest free agent signing ever.
Yeah,
It would, it would break the O'Hearn contract. It would break the Ivan Nova contract. Like it would break all the records
Liriano.
in terms of free agency. Yeah, Liriano. Like it would break all that stuff. Um, I don't think it's going to happen. We'll see. Just all indications point to that it's not going to happen.
Right.
And I'll believe it's one of those I'll believe it when I see it type of deals. I don't believe this payroll is going to get into the 110, 115, 120 range. I need to see that happen though, because like it's going to be very difficult to piece together a really good team without getting to that point. Now, let's say you don't land Suarez, right? Do we want to pivot? Do we
Yeah,
want to like pivot there?
because the Pirates are probably gonna have to pivot because they're probably not
Yeah.
landing Suarez. So
like if you don't land Suarez, yeah, Tyler seems to. I was watching The Point, which thanks for covering me for that on Friday. But Tyler was very much adamant that he's not very in on Moncada at all. He'd rather just roll out Triolo. I think I'd rather have Moncada than nobody. It's a risky pick because you're adding someone with a lot of injury issues, someone who just can't really stay on the field. But if he can, and you can platoon him with Jared Triolo, say Moncada against righties who he mashes, and then Triolo against lefties who Triolo is quite decent against lefties, then you just put together a pretty good third baseman, right? But that all depends on Moncada staying healthy throughout an entire season. So if the question is like, do you have Moncada or just nothing at all? Give me Moncada. Some other trade options like Alec Boehm here in the comments, and like Boehm probably makes his team better. Like he's a competent major league third baseman, right? And again, that takes the ability to put Triolo in that super utility spot. He just doesn't excite me at all. He's just kind of there. He's a guy, but he's not gonna, like, the ceiling isn't super high. The floor is a lot higher, but just like nothing there really excites me. Someone talked about Ernie Clement here in the comments, and I doubt the Blue Jays have any interest in trading him. But I do want to give you another name that the Blue Jays have, where especially if they were to go out there and land Bo Bichette, all of a sudden he may become available, and that's Davis Schneider. Davis Schneider, someone who would fit that, like, can play a few positions, right-handed bat. He can play left field. You can plug him in the infield if you need to at second or third. So like that's a name to kind of keep in mind. And you've seen that Pirates Blue Jays pipeline. Like that's a team that Ben knows very well. He trades with them a lot. So I could see if the Blue, because Davis Schneider is, because of the Okamoto signing, Schneider's now a bench bat on the Blue Jays. And if they sign Bo, then that just makes him even less usable, and maybe they can trade him for something useful. So Davis Schneider's a name to kind of keep in the back of your head, especially if Bo Bichette signs with the Blue Jays. And I think he fits that. Like I would love him to come to the Pirates and be that right-handed fourth outfielder, kind of play with Mangum out there that we've been talking about. So just kind of throw out a few names. Those are some guys. And then you still got to look at the Mets. Like the Mets have those third basemen out there where it's like, you got to imagine one of them gets traded this offseason. The Mets can't be done adding people. So is Vientos going to be available? Is Mauricio going to be available? Again, neither of those guys are super exciting. Yeah, Beatty, maybe to a lesser extent. None of those guys are like super exciting, but they're better than what you got. Right. So I think that's kind of the route, but I feel like that's the route they're going to go. Is they're going to have to make a couple more trades probably, because you look at what's out there on the free agency market and it's not like a ton right? Like if you don't get that Davis Schneider type guy through a trade, then I don't know. Do you start looking at Tommy Pham as a fourth outfielder? Like those are the kind of guys that you're starting to look at. Miguel
Right.
Andujar as a platoon bat, like that's kind of what you start getting to. And hey, I would take Pham back as a fourth outfielder. I don't know if Pham has much interest in being a fourth outfielder. I mean, he played really well from June on, so like I could see him wanting to find another place to just play. But yeah, right now the pickings are getting slim.
Right.
So like, just go out there and get the big guy.
Well, and that's why I do like bring up the whole Triolo thing, because I'm with you in the sense of like in a vacuum, I'd rather have Moncado than not, because at least it gives another option. Moncado has a higher ceiling than Jared Triolo, right? If Moncado hits, he's your everyday third baseman. He definitely helps his team, right? And you put Jared Triolo in that super utility, and that's fine. But ultimately, if I'm gonna bet on someone, I might be betting on Jared Triolo having the better season than Moncado. Simply for one, like he just doesn't stay healthy anymore. That's that's a real thing. Now, again, health can be fluky to some level, right? He had some major injuries, and maybe he's healthy now. Like maybe he can give you 100 plus games, right? But I'm not betting on that. I'm kind of betting against it. And if that's the case, I'm probably betting that Jared Triolo is having a better season than Moncado. So, like to Tyler's point, that's where it's like, if it's not Suarez, are you getting someone just to get someone at third base now? Like, does Moncado truly make this team a contender? Does even like an Alec Boehm to some level? I mean, Boehm had a really, really nice 2024. Defense, I mean, his defense took a big step forward. The power came is more, it was in doubles form, wasn't really home runs. He's not really a home run hitter. That's what you're losing on, but he makes good contact. Like he's a hitter. Um, but does he really push the needle there? Not the way Suarez does. So I guess like Roma Tyler, like I'd rather have Yon Moncado than not. He kind of went like outfield, which makes sense. Like, so I'm gonna upgrade something else. Like I'm just gonna I would rather keep Jared Triolo there and have that and just use those funds, allocate those funds that you had for Suarez or Okamoto and put it somewhere else. But I don't know if like outfield is truly the place either, if that makes sense. I mean, DH is clogged up for the most part. So it's not like you're using Reynolds. It's not like you can say, okay, we'll add another outfielder, put Reynolds at DH. Like he's going to be the majority right field. No Cruz is center field. Mangum, Garcia, like you have some options. They're not the sexiest, but like with left field, like if you get a big time left fielder, then what was the point of Mangum and Garcia? Like let me throw something out there. And this is a very much hypothetical. But if you miss out on Suarez, what is your interest on maybe pivoting to like catcher? Like that's the position to really upgrade. Is the JT Realmuto a possibility now? Is it, is adding Adley Rutschman, like is upgrading the catcher position? Because I think you're upgrading a zero kind of to some level now. Opposed like left field, I can see something happening there, even if it's just kind of like options being thrown at the wall. If you take those funds and say like let's get our everyday catcher. Joey Bart, moving on from you. Henry Davis, you're the backup for right now. We got ourselves the dude behind the plate. Is that maybe a direction you pivot to?
Maybe, maybe. I think you still need to add depth, and in order to do that, you need to sign an out. Like they need to bring in another outfielder. Like they have to. Right now, if the season started today, Jack Sawinski's on your 26-man roster.
Mhm.
Like that can't happen.
And I guess my point to that though is that still needs to happen if you add a Suarez.
Yeah. Right. So
So like that doesn't change per se.
right. So like I said, you have to add another outfielder. You have to add another infielder because you can't break camp with Nick York either, I don't think. Like I don't want that to happen. Like what I would love to see happen is, you get a third baseman and they're your third baseman, Triolo's your shortstop, and Gonzalez is your bench guy. Like that's probably what you're doing until Connor Griffin's available. I saw John mention that in the comments. So like I don't think Triolo is that super utility guy quite yet. Catcher is just adding another thing. They could definitely upgrade catcher. I agree with you there. Like, that's a position that could be upgraded. JT Realmuto, from what I heard, is like that. I think the Phillies are basically putting some pressure on him, where like they have to make, like, they're saying, "Hey, JT, like, you got to make a decision now, or we're moving on." So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what Realmuto's market looks like. Victor Caratini was a name that Noah threw out on Friday. Again, I think he's on a needle mover by any means. Like, if you
Right.
believe that 2025 Victor Caratini is who he is, then I think that's probably not being that smart. Like, he's never put up a season like that before in his career. I think he's more around that 90 to 100 type bat who,
Which
again,
is fine.
That's helpful because
Yeah.
he can also actually defend like, he can field the position a little bit. Yeah,
But it's fine.
I,
It's
I
not a needle
guess
mover.
I guess
It's
it depends
fine.
on what it is there. Like, you've invested a lot into that catcher position already. You traded your closer last year for another catcher. Like there's
Maybe.
you've put a lot of investment into that position. You first overall pick, your closer, your hometown all-star closer. Like, you turned all that into catchers. I don't know if they have that much more to put into that position. I would be cool with them upgrading catcher. I think they need to. If you add catcher, then you still need to do the other things, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, you still have to get an infielder. You have to get another infielder. That's not an option at this point. You have to get another outfielder. That's still not an option at this point. Like, it has to happen. And then you have to get another starting pitcher too. Like, you can't, like, you need another starting pitcher on this team so that Hunter Barco doesn't break camp as your fifth guy. Like,
Right.
I like Hunter Barco. I'm high on
Yeah.
Hunter Barco, but pitchers are going to get hurt throughout the year. So, like,
He also pitched
do you,
102 innings last year.
yeah. So, like, do you want your first guy up from AAA to be Thomas Harrington, or do you want it to be Hunter Barco? Like, you want to make sure you're managing your assets correctly here. If you go and you say, okay, I also need an infielder, I also need an outfielder, I also need a starter, I also probably need one more reliever, and I need a catcher, then you're just adding a bunch of bleh. Like, you're probably just adding like 5 super mediocre players. And that'll help you because it takes the bad players off your roster, but it still doesn't move a whole lot of needles. Like I said, it raises the floor a little bit, but you still, I want to see them go out there and make a splash. And I don't think you can make a splash at catcher, right? Like, JT Realmuto isn't making a splash. Victor Caratini isn't making a splash. Those are just, at this point in their careers, those are just guys. So I don't know if the resources are sufficient, DiNardo, to go out there and add another catcher, plus an infielder, plus an outfielder, plus a starter, plus a reliever.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's absolutely fair. That's why I feel like it is kind of pivotal for this team to get like an Okamoto, a Suarez, something like that, because third base is the obvious need, the obvious position to invest in. To get that type of guy. And if they don't get Suarez, like, I just feel like they're missing out. And now it becomes a lot of, is it worth it for this guy? Is it worth it for that guy? That's where we're at this point in time. Like you mentioned, I agree. Like, I'd rather have Mancado than not Mancado. But if it's going to cost you $5-7 million, is $5 or $7 million worth it better to invest elsewhere, opposed to getting this risk that again, like I said, like, Trillo could actually be worth more at the end of the year. And again, that mainly comes from availability. If Mancado plays 50 games, no matter what Jared Trillo does, no matter what he does, he's going to be a better investment than Mancado. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm getting at. If he gives you 50 games, like, that wasn't worth the signing. Like, use those funds to invest elsewhere, because Jared Trillo was your third baseman. He was your third baseman. He played 50 games, Mancado. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at with that. And again, like, Mancado's had years where, like, he's batted like Jared Trillo. Again, like I mentioned last week, I believe in the talent. He has talent. he absolutely can have the ceiling, but he doesn't have availability. He hasn't proven availability right now. He's been very up and down offensively, and the defense was one of the worst defensive performances in all of baseball last year. So there's a lot of risk there. There's a lot of he might not help this team at all. So do I want to just throw money at a position at a guy because he plays third base because he plays third base more or less, or do I want to like smartly invest that and pivot to another position, which is like Tyler's point. And that's where, like I said, I kind of agree with Tyler. At least free agent wise. Now, again, trades that could happen, but also like what's it going to take for a trade? Alec Bohm kind of makes sense. Like it might be prospects or something, but you know, talking to Schneider, like is it a major league piece? And if it is a major league piece, what are you losing? This team doesn't have a whole lot of depth elsewhere to remove a guy from a major league level to gain a guy. You know, like pitching made sense. That's happened. They've lost 2 starters. You can't really be going back to the well from your starting pitching depth to add a third baseman because then you need 2 pitchers now to add opposed to just 1. So that's what makes things a little, I'm not going to say interesting. It's not interesting, but it makes it a lot more tougher on the general manager to put together a good team if you miss out like on a Suarez, I feel, because you're probably looking trade market to actually upgrade third base. And what are you losing in the trade market then to get that upgrade? Again, prospects, I'm cool with, but I don't know if all these teams are looking for prospects in return to give up what their asset is.
Well, that's the thing. You look at the trades that they've made already, and like it wasn't trading. Like they've traded Major League Baseball players,
right,
to get the guys they've brought in already. They haven't really they haven't traded any of those prospects yet, and they have them. They have them to trade. So that is, I guess, the one pretty interesting piece of this offseason so far is like they've added quite a bit of talent through trades already, but they haven't traded prospects. They've traded major league players to do it at this point. And yeah, it's kind of just like robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? Like you had this crazy deep pitching staff, and now all of a sudden it's not deep anymore. I think it's still pretty good. Like I think it's a good pitching staff, but it's not deep anymore. And so now you got to go out there and dedicate some resources to just adding a little bit of depth there, I think. But like at some point, you got to use some of these prospects. If you're going to trade for people, find somebody who wants prospects, because so far you haven't been able to do that.
And that's, again, I'm alluding to, like the pieces that you think that you might be able to get via trade right now. I don't know if the teams are interested in prospects either. Like that, again, that's what makes this a little bit more difficult. Toronto, I'm very interested in Toronto now. Like the Okamoto, like what's the effect now with Okamoto going to Toronto? Because there's a lot of pieces up there that maybe someone becomes available, even without a Bo Bichette signing. I think there's potential for a trade. But again, like is Toronto interested in prospects to make that happen? They're trying to win a title.
Right.
So if they're going to lose from their major league team, like they might want to add something to the major league team. Is it pitching, to make that deal or whatnot? That's probably not in the Pirates' best interest. With the Phillies, they're going for things too. Are they interested in just dump Alec Bohm? I mean, maybe they are. But excuse me. But yeah, I don't know if that interest is really there. And even the Mets, like the Mets made a lot of sense earlier because of Mitch Keller. Well, you're not trading Mitch Keller at this point in time. You just can't afford it. You cannot, unless again you're looking to add 2 pitchers. You have to. So yeah, that's what makes things interesting now. And again, more difficult for the general manager to shore up third base. So yeah, I don't know. That's why it's just like Suarez again just makes a lot of sense because all you're doing is using money. And I know like money's valuable. Like I get it, but all you're doing is using money. That's what your asset is, opposed to major league talent.
It's only money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You're not losing anything on the team. You're totally gaining onto the team. And now you got a dude there at third base. Again, even if he regresses, he is better than Jared Triolo. Like that's no question. That's why that makes sense. Outside of that, a lot of options you're looking at. Is he better than Jared Triolo? And I don't want to bring in a guy where you have to question, is he better than Jared Triolo? I need that guy where if he regresses, he's still better than Jared Triolo.
Yeah. Isak Paredes, another name being brought up in the comments because, like, yeah, there are some reports that he's available, and again, he'd be an upgrade.
He would.
I
I
don't
would take
know.
him.
I don't know if
He fits
I don't
that
know if
mold.
yeah, he's not really built for PNC Park. That's for sure. But you play 81 games on the road, so I think you take the talent over the fit sometimes. But yeah,
But what are you
I'm
looking for?
I'm going to be curious. Right, like the Astros aren't necessarily in rebuilding. The Astros just made a
Right.
trade and they got a major league starter in return for 2 prospects. Like that's what they did. I think, and I know this is kind of going off track, but that 3-team deal now, because I'm just confused as to why the Astros were involved. Like, why couldn't the Pirates just send prospects to the Rays? Why did they need the Astros to send prospects to the Rays? Like, that would have just that would have made me feel a lot better right now. Like, still having Mike Burrows on this team right now
Yes.
would make me feel a
Absolutely.
lot better. And it gives you the ability where, hey, maybe if you still need to trade somebody, you can trade Mike Burrows. But like the Rays were looking for prospects, and like, why didn't you just give the Rays the equivalent of what the Astros gave the Rays? That would have made
But
a lot more sense
again,
now.
like I'm saying time and time again, the Rays, it doesn't
They
matter
have their
where they
guys.
rank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They know what they want, and they probably didn't want. They wanted the Astros prospects, so went to bed and said, "Make this happen for us." Then we
Yeah.
got a deal because you
Yeah.
guys don't have what we want.
Yeah. I mean, so we're what now? We are we're about 6 weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting. So there's still time.
Yeah.
We still got time. A lot has happened in the last month. Like the Pirates went out there in the last month and had 2 all-star hitters, an all-star reliever, and someone who would have led the team in WAR last year. So they've done a lot in the last 30
Mhm.
days. They need to keep going.
Don't make this all for nothing. When it's October 2026, don't look back and say, "Well, we had a better year," but like, does that stamp success? Is that what success looks like in 2026? Having a better year? I don't. I don't think
No,
so.
that's not
Especially
what
if you're doing
success
this.
looks like.
Again, like you traded years of control from your pitching just to say you got better. How's that help 2027 now? Because then if 2026 stamp of success is in playoffs, 2027 better be. And well, now you lost Lau. You don't have Burrows. What? What? Okay. What? What was it all for? You could just have Burrows still. Get your 2027 version of Lau because he didn't help you in 2026 win, at least playoff wise. So yes, that's why again, like I think it's fair to say they've done a good job. I think it's fair to say, you know what, I've been pleased, but also at the same time say, however, it's still not enough. You need to ensure you do a little bit more here to say this is a playoff team. Let's go. Let's ride.
Yep.
Cool. Does that wrap things up?
I think it does.
All right. Well, with that said, I guess I made the announcement on the socials. If you haven't heard, yes, we'll be back in Bradenton. You mentioned about pitchers and catchers, spring training. We go to Bradenton every single year. A little bit different this year. We're going down for 2 weeks opposed to 1. So February 21st to March 7th, we'll be there. 2 weeks. And of course, yeah, we're doing it because Jim, as we all know right now, with you being away, we all have real jobs. We can't just take 2 weeks off to go to Bradenton. So we're splitting it up. So there's 8 of us in total of NS9, right? So we're kind of splitting it up over the 2 weeks to be down there. So we have 2 weeks of coverage per se, but we won't all be there together, unfortunately. But yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. So we're down there for 2 weeks. We have more announcements coming. When it's due, when it's time, they'll be announced. But a lot of announcements coming, a lot of really cool stuff. But the first announcement is we'll be in Bradenton. Mark those calendars. If you guys are there, let us know. As always, we love to see you guys talk, chat. We'll be hanging out, I'm sure, in right field once the game begins. But we'll have like our pregame shows, our wrap-ups. We'll have interviews, a lot of cool content happening and being done. So yes, February 21st, March 7th, we will be in Bradenton. doing pregame shows for all the home games.
Yeah, looking
I'm
forward to it.
excited. Very much. Wednesday, we'll have NS9 Live. It'll be Ty and I. You won't be there. So I don't know all we have planned yet, if we do have something planned. And then Friday, Sicko Sound Off returns. We're going to do a little bit different, though. A little bit different. It's going to be, I feel like it's going to be lit now.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So
I'm excited for
we'll tell you the details of that soon.
The new Sicko Sound Off.
It's going to be sick. So there's that. So if you haven't already, like, subscribe to the video, join us. It's a lot of fun stuff happening. And I guess go Steelers.
Here we go.
Here we go. All right, guys. We love you all. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.